G'day, legends, and it looks like today is going to be about some pretty controversial news across the MMA world from both fronts. And I don't know why we should be surprised by any of it. News topic number one is going to be Sean Strickland being an absolute dog of a bloke and a bully. And news topic number two, if we have time to get to, I think we will be Dana White using an OnlyFans model to promote Power Slap, and how the entire MMA community seems to have a problem with this for some reason. Which I admit, I find a little confusing considering what our community is. So firstly, let's start off with Sean Strickland. Now, this is something that I've been saying for quite a while in the live stream. So if you don't watch the live streams, this might be news to you. But Sean has just gone and proved it even more. Sean Strickland has gone and head kicked KO'd a sparring partner who it looks like doesn't generally have a great idea of what he is doing in the cage against Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland, to me, has always come across as a typical sort of a bully, a crybaby, mentally disturbed bully that didn't have a lot of friends in high school and had a rough childhood, and has gone and taken it out on somebody in the gym. Look, before we break it down a little bit more, let's watch it together first so we know what we're talking about here. So there you go, rocks him and then head kicks him with shin guards on as well. Like, I don't know, what do you say about this? I'd love to know the context of this. Like, was this bloke being an absolute prick to Sean Strickland? Was he being a Rick Allen level of dickhead in the gym? And even then, does a KO head kick wearing shin guards even warrant that kind of a reaction? Especially when you, Sean Strickland, the world champion level MMA fighter, have the ability to drop a dickhead with body shots and low kicks and just beat the living piss out of their general body area. Like a head kick KO while you're wearing shin guards to somebody that you have clearly already rocked with a 1-2. I mean, even when Dan Hooker wanted to hurt I Show Speed, he did it all with the body shots, right? How much garbage do you have to be talking to warrant that kind of a head kick? Now, we don't know, so I'd love to know the story. But what I think happened here is it looks like Sean Strickland just went into one of his dark moods, one of his rage out moments, and chose to bully someone in the gym they could easily beat the living piss out of. It's very odd though, isn't it? Like, you never hear about this happening when Sean Strickland is sparring with Alex Pereira in the gym, do you? Or that famous footage going around of Sean Strickland telling Khamzat Chimaev to chill out in the gym, bro. You never see that. You never see him doing that against people who are bigger than him or stronger than him, or even just relatively on the same level as him. You know, top 5 UFC athletes. He seems to only act this way in front of much smaller, much more regional kickboxers or influencers, or what it looks like is just some random bloke who appears to have paid his weekly $20 to be at the gym. And it just seems like Sean Strickland just rages out against these people who can't defend themselves. To me, this is everything that sort of encapsulates the Sean Strickland character, right? The second DDP starts giving it back to him, he starts crying and asking him to stop and talking about when there's lines in the sand when it comes to trash talking, even though he's a man that wears t-shirts that say, make sure we get all women back in the kitchen. Sean Strickland is the one that wants to start drawing lines in the sand. When it comes to the sparring sessions, he's super respectful to Alex Pereira again, right? Who's knocked him out, but to random people, he's quite happy to head kick them. Yeah, he's quite happy to head kick them with shin guards on. Sean Strickland is clearly not a good person. He is someone who was bullied and abused a lot, and rather than knowing how to deal with that and rise above it like an adult, he acts like a spiteful teenager. He takes it out on the world around him and just says abusive, trolly garbage wherever he can. He talks about how much he loves freedom, but take their burqas away. Sean Strickland has never had a thought past that of a 14-year-old boy. He has essentially stopped developing at that point and rages out on the world around it, because I do think somewhere deep down, him growing into and becoming an adult means that he has to deal with all that childhood trauma, and he can't do it or hasn't been shown the correct ways to do it. Essentially, Sean Strickland thinks that MMA, cage fighting, sparring is therapy. It's not, Sean. Therapy is therapy, mate. And like to say the trolly fun things that we all banter around and say around this, the MMA community, it's funny when you're a meme lord, right? It's funny when you're like Bryce Mitchell, a good bloke who doesn't just go around hurting random people. We're just having a good time out here. Yeah, but when you're going around world touring to gyms, just beating the living hell out of people consistently, and now it's gotten to this point, the joke kind of wears off a little bit, Sean. So, I will reiterate, Sean Strickland is a dog of a bloke. He is a bully. He's on the levels of John Jones and Masvidal, right? John Jones, obviously, for beating the living piss out of his wife, which is obviously S-tier dog scumbag level, right? But we could put him in that sort of orbit of dogs, you know what I mean? And Masvidal for putting on a hoodie and a medical mask and jumping Colby from behind after he got embarrassed by Colby for 25 minutes and he couldn't handle it and his ego got hurt. So he decided to act like an absolute scumbag in a hoodie and a medical mask and just king hit someone from the back. It's embarrassing, right? Now, obviously, John Jones is the worst of these examples, but you get what I mean. This is the sort of lens in which I view Sean Strickland through. I guess talking about John Jones and the bullies and all of that, it sort of segues nicely into the second bit of news that I wanted to quickly cover, right? Which is how Dana White used a OnlyFans model to promote Power Slap, and the fans seem to be outraged by this. Now, do I think that it's good that the UFC has used an OnlyFans model? No, I don't. Am I surprised? No, I'm not. I guess what's really getting me here is all the outrage. Like, I'm not outraged when Disney makes a woke sack of shit movie. You know, it's expected, right? It's like being outraged when you realize that the rain is wet. It's expected. If you don't like wet rain, just put on an umbrella, you know? Now, Dana White, he bought a sport in the early 2000s that was outlawed for being known as human cockfighting. No holds barred. Two semi-naked men locked in a cage trying to make each other unconscious. And then he added to that an opening that was men wearing gladiator uniforms and highlighted all the vicious knockouts to a song called Face the Pain and grew that company up. And now that company is filled with nothing but gambling and alcohol ads throughout the entire event, while girls with fake tits in bikinis walk around the cage to count to 3 for us like a fucking screen couldn't do that. Then he takes someone who's beaten the living piss out of his wife. This is why John Jones thought it was a good segue here. And failed more drug tests than anyone else in the sport, right? He's beaten the piss out of his wife, failed more drug tests, knocked out one of the GOATs with a vicious head kick, right? Daniel Cormier, while on drugs, yeah? And put that man on top of the sport and called him the greatest of all time. And most of the MMA community are fine with all of this. We just had a John Jones fight week. A lot of reporters, a lot of people were very nice to John Jones, right? They don't seem to have a problem with any of this at all, yeah? In fact, speaking with a lot of the community, as I do, we have conversations in the comment section all the time. I know a lot of the community like to partake in the alcohol and the smoking and the gambling during all of these events, right? And they want to rate all the WMMA fighters on how hot they are. The only conversation you can have about WMMA is how hot the fighters are and ranking them on a tier list. But for some reason, right now, Dana White has chosen to use an OnlyFans model to promote his next endeavor, which is Power Slap, just pure distilled knockouts. And this is the step too far. I am confused at the outrage. I really am. What are we expecting from Dana White? Especially when it comes to the Power Slap side of things. What are we expecting? Why are we all suddenly surprised that the rain is wet? Like, just, if you don't like it, just get out your umbrella. You know what I'm saying? Like, just move past it. I don't know. I guess I find the outrage of the MMA community that is going on with the reaction to this to be the surprising thing. Like, this sport is degenerate. It is, right? It is. The owner slaps his wife and owns another company called Slap and has John Jones as his GOAT. What are we surprised at here? This is where I need the comment section here to explain this one to me, because I'm waking up to see all this outrage because of what Dana White has done. And I'm like, yeah, fucking obviously, mate. Obviously he's done this. And I get it, right? Like you shouldn't, but you shouldn't drink in excess. You shouldn't gamble if you don't own your house. You shouldn't do these things. You should not watch porn. You should absolutely not watch OnlyFans. You shouldn't do these things. But this is the orbit of things that are around the company in which we support and watch. This is the world that we live in. And you want freedom. People should be allowed to do these things, even though they're not allowed to be. That's what makes some of these things fun, right? The fact that we know they're bad for us, they're exciting, they're enthralling. You know you shouldn't do them, and people go ahead and do them anyway. Welcome to being a human being, mate. Anyway, we're not here to get too deep into the philosophy of life here. I'm just saying that I'm surprised by the outrage of what Dana White has done. So please, explain it to me in the comments. Why are we outraged about this? Please put it down there in the comments. I'd love to know why. Sean Strickland, are you sick of him? Are you still on board with him? Could you please imagine for a second if Israel Adesanya did this to one of his sparring partners, or if Ian Gary did this to one of his sparring partners, how much the MMA community would be going off? I'd love to see how many people are going to give Sean Strickland a pass for this one. If this is your first time here, g'day, my name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, or at least I try to, and I go live about 3 times a week. So if you want to know when I go live, hit that subscribe button plus the notification bell next to it, and you will know when I go live. And if you're already on board with the channel, give this video a like, because it does help support the channel and grow the channel. I don't just say that at the end of the video for the sake of saying it. So please do give it a like if you enjoy the content. And until then, I will see you all in the next video.